But first, let us return to Visual Studio and use this approach already to link the view with the view model. So we are again in the PyOverview view.xaml, and I'm going to link this particular view with its view model now, which was the thing that we were missing in the previous demo, right? So I can show you a couple of ways of doing this. The first way is the following. Let me in XAML link my view code tightly, let's say, with the view model. So what I'll do is I will bring in an XML namespace mapping that uses the prefix view models to be linked to the CLR namespace view models. That is, of course, the namespace that all my view models live in. In here, I can now do the following. I can set the content page dot binding context to an instance of the PyOverview view model. They live inside of the view models namespace, so I need to use the prefix view models. I use then a colon, and then I say that this will bind to the PyOverview view model. There we go. At this point, my view is linked with my view model. They know about each other. And therefore, this data binding right here will now also be working because I'm going to bind to the PyOverview. Now, if I run the application like so, we won't be seeing anything. I need to fix one more thing. In fact, I need to fix two. Let me first go to the PyOverview view model again. Remember here in the constructor that I had specified that my pies would be showing by default a new observable collection. That is, of course, going to show an empty list. We won't be seeing anything. So I'll replace this. I'll actually say that my pies now need to be loaded from our repository. So what I'll do here is the following. I will specify here that the pies is now actually a new observable collection that gets the data from the pyrepository.pies. That is the list of pies hard-coded inside of the repository over here. So in other words, I now have filled up in my view model my data. Although I'm doing that directly with the repository, which is not perfect, I actually will be able to see some data in my UI. In my view, the list view is now going to visualize the pies to this bound items source. Now, I want to run the application at this point. However, before we do so, let us go to the app.xaml.cs. And in there, in the starter solution, I had commented out the main page. But I actually need to specify here that we want to start the application by showing a new PyOverview view. And let's bring in the correct using statement. If I now hit F5, we should be able to see our pies loading in the overview screen. Let's do it. Hooray! We are actually seeing our data that is coming in from the repository. Our view model is exposing this state, this data, and my view is data binding onto the state exposed by the view model. We have successfully already created a very simple MVVM setup. The main problem, however, with this approach is that the binding context is now very tightly coupled in my view. I don't like this tight coupling. How can we fix this? Let's go back to the slides.